What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Mike LaBelle, and welcome back to Goals FIFA Academy. And today, we're looking at the top international teams in FIFA 20. We want your opinion. We want your feedback. Let me know, what do you think of my list in the comments down below? But I'm not going to hold you up. We're going to get right into this, and we're going to start out with... We're going straight to France. It's kind of a no-brainer. World champions. Top to bottom, depth on depth on depth, balance. You name it, you can play it. Doesn't matter the formation. You got Mbappe up top. You can put Griezmann up there if you want. You can play him as a winger. You can play him as attacking mid. Ben Yedder, Dembele, Coman. The options really feel endless. And the same in the midfield. If you're looking for balanced midfielders, or if you're looking for attacking midfielders, or you're looking for defensive midfielders, the likes of having a Conte, a Paul Pogba, Matuidi, Tolisso, Dembele, and we really can just keep listing names. Even guys that don't make it into their starting 11 or off the first 7 or 8 off the bench, they're still amazing. Defensively, Hernandez, Kimpembe, Varane, Mendy. And these are some of my choices. It depends if you want to play a 3 at the back, if you want to play very defensive, if you want to play higher risk-taking, you want to utilize all these different subs, you want to play with big players that are physical and have that presence, or you want to play with smaller guys that are quick and very skillful, pass and move. There's really no liabilities with France, hence why they're the world champions. And of course, FIFA rewarded their real-life performance with their virtual ratings and how they perform in this year's installment. They just fit the meta. Next up, we have Germany. And I do want to say this real quick. It's not even really a disclaimer, more of an announcement, but I'm not going to be including Brazil in my list because there's some sort of conflict, I'm assuming, with maybe the Brazilian Federation and FIFA and EA. They don't have the player names on the Brazilian national team, but those same players, they do have the player names if they're representing a club. So I'm sure there's some sort of conflict here, but I'm just going to leave them off for that reason. They would probably be, though, in my top 5. I've always liked the way that Brazil kind of flows going forward. Very nice, organic, rhythmic approach to playing attacking football. And they've got a lot of key players. But back to Germany, which is kind of ironic. I'm bringing up Germany with Brazil. Anyways, that's another story or another video. But when you're looking at the attack, Royce, Timo Werner, the burner, Serge, who's also been performing at a very high level. In the midfield, you could go with Havertz, Cruz, Goretzka. You can even play Kimmich in the midfield. It depends what you're doing on the defensive side and what formation you're going into and so forth, where you're going to apply some of these players. On the defensive end, Ta, Rudiger, Schultz, and you've got other guys you can interchange in there. It just depends on preference. It's interesting, actually, goalkeeper-wise, you have arguably the best 2 goalkeepers in FIFA 20 between Ter Stegen and Manuel Neuer, so you can figure out who works best for you. But it's nice to have that as a 1-2 punch. Technically, you could each have them play a half if you just want to be fair. My good friend Spencer Owen would appreciate this selection because Belgium is in the top 5 for me. Lukaku, Mertens, Hazard. You've got a lot of attacking options there. Carrasco could get forward. You have the secondary Hazard, which I'm sure that he hates, but let's say what it is. Then Witsel or Kevin De Bruyne. You've got a few different interchangeable pieces. I like the midfield, and I like the attack. Now, what gets a little bit confusing for me, and it's mainly because of the options that are provided to you right now. If you're playing online, or if you're in kickoff, you're just taking the Belgium national team as is. Because they default to playing 3 at the back, you have more center backs. You don't have a lot of pace on the wings. So you might have to play somebody out of position. I mean, you still have Munir. You've got Toby. You've got Vertonghen. You have very high-rated defensive players. That's not the issue. But I do think you're going to have some concerns with pace. And then, of course, Courtois in goal is pretty consistent, pretty reliable. He's a big body. He's going to defend crosses and set pieces, get his hands on a little bit of everything. And we're always going to complain to a certain degree, no matter what goalkeeper we're using, what goalkeeper we have. At the end of the day, you just hope for some level of consistency. The goalkeeper makes the majority of saves he's supposed to make. Now, when you get the outstanding, the spectacular, the insert, the superlative here, wonderful, but it's more important that the goalkeeper makes the good old reliable save. So you're not losing games because you're a goalkeeper, and then every once in a while maybe you get bailed out and he just makes that outstanding grab or something lucky, you get a kick save, you name it. I made a video prior talking about the top 5 clubs that I gravitate towards, the best 5. If you're looking for wins, if you're not going into Ultimate Team, you're playing kickoff. And it's similar to this video, but just with clubs instead of international teams. And I said that Cristiano wasn't a big enough difference maker to make up for some of the concerns for Juventus, maybe some of the issues, some of the players not fitting the gameplay perfectly. However, for Portugal, I think that he does enough, and they have maybe a better supporting cast. You got Cristiano, who can play anywhere on the pitch, any offensive positions. Guedes, João Felix, who of course has a lot of hype around him. Young with a very bright future. I love Fernandez. I think that he's very underrated, underappreciated. The same with Silva, really developed. Bernardo, hand clap to you. You've got multiple holding mids. You can go with Big Willie. You can go with Pereira. I like Casello. I like Semedo. No issues at all on the outside of your defensive back line. I think the concern comes down to your center backs, and then where do you put Rui Patricio on the scale, or where are you ranking him among some of the top goalkeepers? How important is that to you? Because that's where you're kind of making a trade-off with Portugal. I don't necessarily love their center backs. I think Pepe is maybe past his best FIFA era. Same with his real life performance. He's past his prime, and he's probably not going to make that last-ditch challenge that you'd like to have in a key moment. But I think the rest of the team kind of covers up for it. Still in my top 5. You guys can let me know what you think. Can I get a drum roll, please? We have England, so I'm sure all the England supporters will appreciate this. Sterling, Rashford, Sancho. You could say Harry Kane, and in real life he's amazing. He doesn't necessarily fit the meta perfectly, and I do want to make sure that I'm clear. This isn't necessarily in order. These are just the 5 best international teams in yours truly opinion. I even thought about the Netherlands. They don't have a lot of depth, and some of the players aren't as high rated, but I feel like they fit into the meta pretty well. And in the midfield, when you're looking at the English team, you can go with Lingard, Dele Alli, Henderson. That's kind of their weak point. I like their attackers. The defense also works for me between Kyle Walker, Alexander-Arnold, Gomez, Stones, Pickford. A lot of solid players. A lot of very solid players. Maybe not as many stars or standout prime time performers just yet. Like, they're right on the edge. But with the way that Sterling's playing, I mean, maybe he'll just impact everything. Pull up the morale and allow these guys to perform at maybe even another step up. And Rashford, who I feel like is good in the Premier League. He's got a lot of caps. A lot of people forget how young he is. I think he's even better in FIFA. I just feel like he fits the game really well. He's got good size, the skill moves. He's really quick. He can move side to side. If you need to open up some space, you hit those 1-2s. You need someone who has that creativity, that flow. And that's kind of always been something I brought up, at least in recent years, or the last few years. With the English national team, they've often had the staples. They've had the players. Even if you go back in time, even a decade, they've had a lot of the right components, but I felt like they were always missing some of that creativity, some of that flair. And right now, you got a lot of young talent that kind of fits that mold, that ability to be dynamic, to take players on. And you have to have that mix with traditional players that kind of do it by the book. Your box-to-box midfielders, your guys that play very simple and they make the right decision time and time again. They're going to finish a 1v1. But you also have to have your risk takers and the guys that just have that pace where you have to really honor that they can get in behind, that they can attack you, that they can make you uncomfortable. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed everything, make sure to drop some love. What do you guys think in the comments? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What international teams did I leave off the list? Or maybe you can make an argument for? But I have a lot more content coming out ASAP.